lies. All you see is for you and I. In your dreams, through the nights, every moment that passes by, look to the heavens, hands spread wide, thanking Allah the Most High. There is no God but Allah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear viewers, I welcome you once again to our episode, a new episode for our show, iTeens World. We'll be discussing another topic, but this time I have a surprise for the audience. And first of all, I will talk about the topic that it's to facilitate a decision-making process, and how can we build this skill to enhance our leadership skills for our youth. But I would leave this topic today as I will just describe you. Decision making is basically involves a lot of activities. It's not just you have to step back. There are steps towards decision making. There's a planning that you need to do in certain critical decisions making, and it's part of the leadership development, because leaders need to make decisions at different times. So this process itself will be today handled by one of the youth. So I will be allocating the program lead, and I'll be leaving for a few minutes, actually part of the program, for let them work and decide and facilitate for you this program. So it will be Abdul Mateen today. He will be taking over and he will be presenting you, and I will be leaving the show, and then I will come back at the end of the show and see what type of takeaways, learning that happened during the show, and we will also take your feedback on how this session went. So I will now take a break, and until then it will be Abdul Mateen taking over and running today's episode of
iTeens World.
And what is the topic?
Decision making.
Thank you.
Look to the heavens, hands spread wide, thanking Allah the Most High. There is no God but Allah.
رسول الله حبيب الله Allah, our God is the greatest, the one and only glory to Him. He wanted humans to be the best and give His best religion to them. Allah, our God is the greatest, the one and only glory to Him. He wanted humans.
Al-Imam al-Nawawi, may Allah have mercy on him, have indeed did a great and a tremendous job in compiling some of the most beautiful ahadith and relevant ayat in one of his marvelous works, which is known as Riyadh al-Salihin, or Gardens of the Pious. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all amongst the dwellers of Gardens of the Pious. Jannat al-Na'im. Allahumma ameen.
He wanted humans to be the best and give His best religion to them. Rasul Allah, Habib Allah. Allah, our God is the greatest, the one and only glory to Him.
To the heavens, hands spread wide, thanking Allah the Most High. There is no God but Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to iTeens World. As you can see, Brother Wasim has left me to take over the show, inshallah. I hope I do it justice. Inshallah, today I'll be just introducing our two guests. Please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I'm Atiq al-Rahman. I'm from India and I'm 18 years of age.
Welcome, Atiq. Nice having you here. And Muhaymin?
Thank you for introducing me. My name is Muhaymin Fuzail, as he just said. I'm from Malaysia. I'm 14 years old and I'm in grade 10.
MashaAllah. Okay. So today's episode, as you may know, is about decision making. So I think decision making is a process that every one of us has to encounter in any time of our day, whether it be small decision making, as in what toothbrush to use and how do we brush our teeth, to major decisions that can affect thousands, in fact maybe millions of people later on.
And decisions decide who you are. What you decide is like what you do decides who you are. What you eat this morning, should I eat cereal? Should I eat paratha?
Come on, brother. As you said, yeah, small decisions. So I think you have a lot of, I've heard that you made a lot of help at home. So how do the decisions making skills help you at home?
Because when you make a lot of decisions, you get used to doing the right ones.
I think, yeah, I
Maybe
think
like,
was also,
like
yeah.
it can help you understand like at which level you stand, like how good decision, the better decisions you can take. It tells you like at where you stand in your life.
Mm-hmm. So how can, give me some of the examples that you made recently that may have impacted in a micro scale.
Okay, like decision on playing football.
Mm-hmm.
I'm focusing on that a lot right now because it's a hobby which I love, and it's a big decision of mine to follow it, to follow that dream of football. What's your decision?
Like for everything like we do, that we always get back to our foundations of Islam. And,
True, of course.
Deen. So it's first precise like what decisions do we take in that kind of aspect. Like our friends call us to play, and then it's the time for the prayer. So now it's on to you. What decision? What do you decide?
Pray or to join your friends? And
Either
keep
you
playing?
pray, yes, exactly. Either you pray or either you join your friends.
So coming back to the topic, I think what you're trying to emphasize over here is that we have to prioritize what
Exactly.
we need to do.
Exactly.
And priorities define what decisions that you
Yeah,
make
but
at the
the
end of the day.
priority should be according to our needs, not according
What
to
you
our
want,
wants.
yeah.
Very important, very good.
Needs
at it,
and wants are
mashallah.
very different. What you need and what you want is so different.
For example, I want to play PS3 all day long.
But it's not what you need.
Yeah, and what I need to do is actually to study for my test tomorrow. You know?
Exactly.
So, and decision-making skills in that aspect, small aspects, you know. People, whenever they hear decision-making, they think, no, it's only for, you know, presidents of nations and CEOs of companies. But no, some of the decisions that you make on your scale can impact highly. For example, me and Atiq can relate to this, and maybe Muhaim and you too, very close in the future. We need to choose our subjects that we need to do.
Exactly.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So
And
we
besides your
should
jobs,
basically
right?
ponder about like on this
The subjects that we
decision-making,
choose
like
in year
what
12
what
for us
things
as a
like
British
should
system,
we do
yeah.
that brings this quality in us, the quality of making the right decision. What things should we ponder about?
So
that
yeah,
brings in
for
this
example,
quality inside?
Atiq, you made the decision recently. What aspects did you include in the decision of choosing
Well,
whatever subjects that you have chosen in year 13?
Well, the first and foremost thing is like you should think about what you are trying to think. Do you get my point?
No.
Could you?
Okay, so like first when you're trying to decide something, like you sit and analyze the situation.
Yeah, you think of the pros and
all,
cons.
Yeah, keep all the bad. You first list all the
The
good
things.
factors, then you list all the bad factors of that particular subject, and then you choose from that. Like if it has many bad factors, you don't opt for it. If it has many good factors, you opt for it. So that's the most important thing, that you analyze the situation and make a decision for it. Like for me, if it was, I wanted to take engineering, but it was for me like I didn't get that good grades
But why
in
did
my
you want to do
mathematics.
engineering?
because it's like my decision from
Passion.
Really,
It's
yeah,
a passion,
exactly.
yeah.
Passion.
So I think passion plays an important role in decision making in this aspect.
Exactly.
So yes, as you were saying, you didn't have good grades, yes?
Good grades in mathematics, but then I decided like if I work hard, but that good grades was because of my own mistake, that I didn't work hard maybe, or I got indulged with some other
Because the
things.
consequences of the decisions you made
Yeah.
From
previously
before, yeah.
on in the
Exactly.
in the year before, where you could have opted to study
Or to play games.
play games, for
yeah,
example.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
So the
this time I
consequences
thought
of
it's-
your decisions, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So this time I made a new decision that yes, I am going to. And making decision is really not that important than following the decision. you
True,
made.
very
the
important.
promises
Yeah.
you make is
Following
also a
up on your
decision.
decisions,
Yes.
yes.
Like your promises is also a decision, so you have to follow up and act upon your decision what you make. Like if I make a promise with you, I'm going to meet you at 2 o'clock, and I don't keep it up, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, but that does not relate too much to the decision. So what do you want to say about the decision you have made?
No, I think what Muhammad is trying to say is quite true, that the fact that you need to follow up on your decisions, right, as you said, and he's trying to reiterate the point that you need to follow up on your promises as well. And promises can be decisions in like an aspect. Muhammad, I remember working with you in our school.
We did?
Yeah, we did. You made a lot of decisions as a newspaper editor, especially your photographer.
I was your photographer.
Exactly.
You're choosing the right pictures for your newspaper thing. You were the editor, so you had to do lots of decisions, like who to pick as a photographer. Thank you for picking me, anyways.
No problems. It was a pleasure picking you. Yes. So
And-
yeah, you were making the decisions as a photographer.
So why did you opt for like his decision, like when he asked for you to come in?
Experience is the new
Okay,
things.
Okay. So he made a decision because of his experience. The experience he had in photography.
Now we have a couple of examples in front of us. Let's see what is common in our decision-making skills, right? So first of all, taking Atiq's example of that, he had to make a decision on engineering, but he ended up getting bad grades in maths, so it's quite difficult for him, right? So that decision that he made previous in the year of not studying and doing something else, that had a consequence. So whenever you make a decision, however small you think it is, you do need to realize the long-term consequences
Exactly, a wide
and
thought.
effects of it. Yes,
Yeah.
a wide thought. Look at it from a different angle, from a different perspective. In psychology, there are concepts of using a different thinking hat, right? So you have the yellow thinking hat to look at positive aspects of a thing. For example, right now I can have two choices. Either I watch TV or I play. Of course, you can watch with the TV. It's a benefit to watch with the TV, alhamdulillah. Anyway, so I watch TV or I study, right? So when you watch TV, it gives you a short-time pleasure, right? Yes, it's interesting, it's informative sometimes, it's entertainment, right? And once you look
So
at the
what you're
positive
trying to say
aspects
is
of
like
that,
for
yeah.
making a decision, you need a self-control in yourself.
Yes, coming to
Like-
that point, self-control. And when you look, and that is a positive hat, the yellow hat in psychology. When you look at the negative aspects of a particular decision, okay, you tend to look at it from the long-term goals. Now, if I watch TV, I'll be wasting my time, okay? My
But that
creativity
depends
is
on what TV show you watch.
Obviously, let's say an entertainment channel,
Okay.
instead of
Any
studying.
entertainment channel, but still it's a waste of time
Yes.
at a certain point of aspect.
Yes, especially when you have the other decision to study, yeah. So you should always consider when you're making decisions on the long-term effects of it and look at it from a third-person point of view, right? For example, I made decisions, if I look at myself, yeah, I'll watch TV for half an hour and then I'll study. But when I look from a third-person perspective, you do realize that, you know what? The actual watching TV is going to be a complete waste of time, because at the end of the day, that is going to be replaying in my mind.
But you do have to
anyway.
decide at some point of time that you have to take an entertainment for yourself.
Of course,
Like
yes.
every time you think about
Yeah,
taking
time
an
management,
entertainment, you
time
can't think that
Time management is an important aspect, as we discussed in the previous episodes of iTeens World, yes.
So like every time you make a decision of entertainment, you can't every time think that, oh, I'm thinking about doing an entertainment, why don't I study? Because entertainment is really an important part of your life.
At the same time, you should have rationality, you know. At this point in time and place, what is correct, you know? You're out with your family. You can't say, I need to go study at that time, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
no, I need to study. You people can go out by yourselves. I'm not going to come to you. You need to have priorities, and family time is a big priority, and education is a big priority, as well as, you know, looking after your religion, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
MashaAllah, you're a hafiz. You have done a lot of hifz as well. How do you make decisions in that aspect, in the
Of course,
Islamic
see,
aspect?
Deen in Islam is always the first. So like I make a decision, like every day I have to do this much of recitation or this much of revising, and I bind myself to such places that I don't fall off the track.
Wow, that's really good
So
initiative.
like
company.
for following your goals which you have made or following a decision, you have to bind yourself with certain places or with certain kind of people. Like being among them binds you to that particular thing.
In your
Like in my
circumstance,
example,
the
I have binded
Quran.
myself to a madrasa. Like I sometimes teach the children. So if I think I don't go today, so it will be a loss for them, and then it will create a bad impression among my
Yeah,
teachers.
because you don't keep
So
your
I
word.
have bind myself with them. So at the end of the day, I end up going every time.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything for that, Hyman?
For Quran recitation, not that much because I'm not a hafiz like this as him.
MashaAllah.
He's
Anyway.
MashaAllah, man.
But you
remembers
should
a
at
lot.
least try.
I should probably
Mhm.
do that.
Anyway, okay, so as you continue on the topic of decision making, what else aspects can you say from an Islamic perspective?
Islamic perspective, they see decision making is really important because the way you decide things, and the way you look at them, they either make you
Yeah,
or
they
they
decide
either
who you
break
are.
you.
Make or break you.
Make
yeah.
or
Yeah.
break.
So decision making is really important as
And
an
I think
Islamic
decision
perspective.
making in that perspective helps a person to develop his personality.
Exactly.
And I think an important help in decision making.
Like how,
is-
like sometimes you're sitting in school and some boys come to you and they tell you that we have this problem, can you decide for us something? So maybe
Justice,
they have
yeah.
seen you taking decisions, and they found out that you are really good at making decisions because you analyze better than maybe.
Analyzation of the problem is very good
Yes.
as well, yes.
So they come to you. So that's a really important factor.
That's influence to the kids, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're helping them decide.
No, it's not necessary that you help them. They see you, maybe they watch you, like they had to choose something between something,
Okay.
and then you chose something else and they chose something else. But then later they found out that the things we chose wasn't good enough, and the thing he chose was good enough. So now they think about it, like why did he choose that?
They think
Like
about
maybe
what-
he
yeah.
thought wider than us, so he is a better analyzer than us.
So as coming back to the main point of decision making is look at the long-term goals. Whenever we have the the peer pressure to do drugs or to smoke, or these are actual facts that teenagers in this day and age they do face, and parents still do not realize that. And for example, even a small thing like cheating in exams, it's not a small thing, but it has become like that. Why? Because of the so much of it being
Yeah, like it's in a hadith, like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, like at a time will come when you will be sinning and you wouldn't know.
even realize it,
You
that
wouldn't
you're
realize
sinning,
that you are sinning.
Because you've done it a lot.
Yeah, because like now
You're used to
it has become so common.
It's
Exactly.
become so common in the environment. That's why.
Talking of the example of cheating, I heard from one of my friend's fathers that he was teaching in a college. He's a college professor, and he found out that men of 23, 24 years old, they are cheating. Okay.
Exactly.
And they're almost 10
Old,
years
yeah.
older than me, and it has become so second nature to them to
Yes,
cheat
yes.
that the first thing, okay, I do not know this answer, it doesn't even come to the brain, let's think and let's wait and let's ponder the question. No, the first nature is to what?
To cheat.
Exactly. So if you do not control yourself and stop yourself at the smallest instances, and this is very aspect of a very
And
good
then,
aspect of
but
decision
this
making.
teenage, I would like to say, like at this point of like stage, the teenage stage, which we are talking about, the youth decision making, the teenager who makes the better decision will always be the one who is transparent with his family.
True, yes.
Because the more transparent he is, and the more solutions they give him, and he gains their
knowledge of
experience.
it,
their
yeah.
So this
experience.
is then
So he then, when he has to make a decision, he analyzes with his point of view, he analyzes with his parents' point of view, he analyzes with his teacher's point of view, his brother, sister, and then
Make the decision.
and then.
So I think
end up
then this
to
is
the
a
decision.
takeaway for the parents
Exactly.
that try to be as transparent as possible with your children. You do not realize how intelligent
No, it's
and
not.
how much.
I don't think it's like the whole job of the parents to be transparent,
but
because it's
as-
not
but
them.
It's encouragement and facilitating
Yes,
the
exactly,
transparency
just
is really important.
encouragement.
Yes. And they don't realize that how many decisions that we have to make. I think they might have forgotten the times when they were teenagers and the peer pressures that they were facing. And this world has become very much susceptible for the teenagers especially when you have bad influences.
Exactly.
There's so many of
Yes.
them. So it is I think the parents do need to involve the teenagers more in their decisions, so they feel more respected within the family.
Exactly.
So they treat the family as friends, and when they treat the family as friends, they can involve them, and they might
talk
open up
more,
about
yeah,
their
open
lives.
them
Yeah,
more, yes.
exactly. Yeah, as you were saying, Mohammed.
Oh god damn, you talk a lot, man. I forgot what I was gonna say now.
It's okay, no problem.
Yeah.
So we were saying like when the teenage, if the teenage is not sharing something with the parents, or he's not transparent with the parents, we can always find out, like if we see in our friends, like you go to him and he was doing something, okay, and then it was something wrong, he thinks that maybe you won't like it. So when you go near him, he will feel irritated. He will feel irritated from, why this guy is even near me? He won't even like you having in that room. Like, why is this guy even there? He should go away. At that point, you realize that maybe he's doing something wrong. So you don't go on straight on his face and what were you doing to show me? Like what's going on? What's happening?
Yeah, be more kind.
Yeah, be
towards
more
them.
kind. Leave the place when he's calmed down, when he's not doing anything such. Then you go to him and try to talk about it.
MashaAllah, I mean, this was some of the best times I've had on the show. I really enjoyed it.
Jazakallah.
Unfortunately, it's time to go back for the break, and inshallah, we'll be back soon enough on iTeens World with Brother Wasim. Hope you did enjoy this segment, and stay where you are. We'll be right back.
Look to the heavens, hands spread wide, thanking Allah the Most High. There is no God but Allah.
If I think I lost my ablution, but I'm not sure, do I have to make wudu again? Is it allowed for Muslims to visit the graveyard, or is that shirk? Am I allowed to say Jummah Mubarak to someone? Can I get to know a sister before marriage? I have so many questions, and I feel that I've just reached a dead end. If only I could find someone trustworthy to answer my questions. Someone who speaks based on proof from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet.
The heavens, hands spread wide, thanking Allah the Most High. There is no God but Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our program, iTeens World, where we were discussing, and we had Abdul Mateen, one of the youth guests who had actually taken over the program, and we were discussing
Decision making.
And how did it go, Abdul Mateen? What do you say? What is the takeaway? And I want to hear from all of you before I will give my feedback.
Well, I think it went quite well. We discussed about how short-term decisions and short-term warrants can affect your long-term consequences. I think that was one of the biggest aspects.
So you discussed decision making on a micro level, which is youth. What do you face?
Yeah, that's, I think at the macro level is what most of the youth today face. But I think one thing that we forgot to mention is youth have the capacity to go at the macro level.
Mhm.
You know, for example,
Look at all
the-
the leaders that were before in Muslim Ummah when they were going
17
out
Exactly,
years of
ex-
age and
it's-
16
16
years
and
of age.
17 years old.
and they led armies.
Yeah.
The example of Osama bin Zaid,
Yeah.
as you mentioned before during some of the previous
Yeah.
episodes.
So I think in decision making, one has to understand that it's, if we go back again, and how we do it in every program, is to go back on the Islamic foundations and look at our ethos. It is to involve people, take their advice. I think this is one of the aspects that perhaps we didn't discuss, where we need to, if it's a big decision, and the concept of shura,
Sure.
and the concept of going back to your parents, like I think you discussed.
Yes, we
and
did
you,
discuss that.
You did talk about it, but it's like a critical decision. Sometimes when it relates to the religion, you need to consult the scholars.
Exactly. So and then like I said like before, then you think of the scholar's point of view, the parents' point of view, your point of view,
teachers.
and then
the
you
positives
analyze
and the negatives,
the
and
right
then
thing. Because at
you
the
combine
end of
all
the
of
day,
that into.
Yeah. But
because-
again, sometimes there are other decisions that you perhaps leave it on others, because you don't realize that perhaps you are not yet there.
capable
the
of
best
doing
way,
it,
like
yes.
if you
Yeah.
say make istikhara.
Yeah,
Istikhara
exactly.
is the
The
biggest
best way.
thing, exactly.
That's the another point that I wanted to come back. We come back to the foundations
Exactly.
of Islam, where we use the Sunnah, the way the Prophet ﷺ, how did he make decisions? Can you relate any example?
He
Because we have very
probably-
few time left, and I
He
just
thought about the advantages of his decisions and the disadvantages.
and he took the shura of his
Sahaba.
Sahaba.
an example of his Ghazwa Khandak,
Yeah.
the battle of the
when
trench.
they took the advice of Salman al-Farisi radiallahu anhu
Exactly.
to build a trench around Medina, which ended up protecting Medina quite effectively.
Yes, exactly. And then these are the things that I think we need to learn more about this topic, because it's a very interesting topic. It tells you have to read history to see the major decisions made by people and how did they come up with those decisions. Because on a micro level it's okay when it's small decisions on a daily basis, but it helps you. It's again, putting it into practice what you learn.
Exactly.
But you need to look into history and see how the big decisions were made and what do we learn from it, so that we can then apply it. And then, this is how you build capacity. This is why we are doing this program, so that now, mashallah, you have done a wonderful job, or you have discussed this topic, but you need to help others in their decision making. And this comes from influence. People will come to you to make you part of their decision when they trust you. So the other thing is, in decision making, you need to have all these things in leadership.
Like from the first episode till now, whatever we have discussed, all the things we
Combine
conclude.
into decision making, because at the end, this I think is the output.
Yes.
And so, summing it up, I think you would like to mention a couple of points. And one thing I really missed was when I was took over the show, was the concept of istikhara, and I think that has helped many Muslims make a lot of important decisions, and the counsel of Allah is the best.
Yeah. And then starting from there, and you move on, you take advice from the elders, you ponder, you reflect, you don't make hasty decisions. Yeah, there will be times where you have to take immediately, and you make dua.
But-
And if you don't have that opportunity, you quickly pray istikhara, and you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'm sure Allah is the one who guides people's heart, and He will be. And sometimes again in decision making, there is one thing when we ask for the help of Allah, and then the things go wrong
Yeah.
And Allah says that in
But
decision
according to what we
istikhara,
think.
According to what we think, exactly.
Because
Yeah.
you will never regret the decision
Everything
you
good
make
or
after
bad which
istikhara,
comes
yeah.
to you is of course from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Allah subhanahu, and then at that time, that humility and
patience and sabr, the
sabr,
best thing.
and this is part of our religion. So it's not decision making doesn't end on just one angle of discussion, but it encompasses everything around
Everything
it.
totally combined, yes,
Yeah.
mashallah.
Thank you so much, Abdul Mateen, and
Jazakallah.
Yeah, thanks to these two for being such awesome guests, yes.
Yeah, it was very wonderful having you guys here, and I'm sure the viewers, you must have some learnings from this, and inshallah it's to go back and study more about decision making, enhance your subject knowledge, and then consult with people when you're making decisions. Some of the key decisions of life can, sometimes if done hastily with not having a complete view of things, can actually make a big impact on your lives in the future. So it's Youth Development Series once again on iTeens World. I thank you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for giving us the opportunity, and I hope that this was a program that you had gained something. It was done by the youth, and I encourage you as well to participate by giving us the feedback. And until next time, for the final episode, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Through the window, realize all you see is for you and I. In your dreams, through the nights, every moment that passes by, look to the heavens, hands spread wide, thanking Allah the Most High. There is no God but Allah, Muhammad is His messenger. Look to the heavens, hands spread wide, thanking Allah the Most High. There is no God but Allah, Muhammad is His messenger. There is no God but Allah, Muhammad is His messenger.